The road to the Final Four continues as we head into the Sweet 16 of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, aka March Madness. And in the Sweet 16, we have one of the best matchups we might see all year. We've got a heavyweight Sweet 16 matchup. The number 4 seeded Arkansas Razorbacks, SEC champions, will be taking on the number 1 Arizona Wildcats, Big 12 champions, and it will be so much fun. This game has everything: NBA level talent, elite coaching, contrasting styles, and serious Final Four implications. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down how both teams got here, key players and matchups, advanced stats and tendencies, X factors that could swing in this game, and what each team must do to find their way into the Final Four. Let's get into it. Hello everybody and welcome to Random SEC. If you aren't subscribed, please consider doing so. You can unsubscribe whenever you want if you don't like my content, but please consider doing so and like and comment as well. It would really help me out a lot, and we're doing great on all social medias, but YouTube, we really need your help. Back to the video. So before we get into it, just a little context if you haven't been watching all of March Madness so far, or even just college basketball. It's been a fun March Madness, a lot of storylines, a lot of weird stuff happening. But we're in the Sweet 16, right? And we're in the 16 best teams in college basketball. And each and every one of them has contrasting styles. And these two teams, there's no exception to that. But before we get into the styles of play, to the actual game, we got to get in to how each team got here. Starting with Arkansas, the SEC team. Arkansas comes in battle-tested out of the SEC. They won the SEC tournament first since 2000. They're one of the most explosive offenses in the country. 90.2 points per game, top 5 nationally, shooting 50.3% from the field. In the tournament, they blew out number 13 seed Hawaii, and then survived High Point behind Darius Acuff's legendary finish to that game with a 36-point performance. This is a team that thrives in chaos. Fast-paced transition offense. They like to run it on you. It's been an interesting kind of situation, kind of path to get here. But it has not been easy at all. Arkansas, that's kind of where they are, right? And Arizona from the Big 12, well, they dominated all year. In fact, they were the last high major team to be undefeated in this college basketball season. After that, they would drop 2 in a row to Kansas and Texas Tech. But to destroy all the, peaking too early narratives, they are on an 11-game winning streak since then. One of the best teams in the country. A lot of people's national title favorites. They're the 1 seed, 32-2 record. Won both the Big 12 regular season championship and the Big 12 tournament season championship, and won probably the best college basketball league this year. So really impressive stuff from Arizona. Opened the tournament with a 92-58 blowout win. What makes them scary, though, is their balance. 7 players averaging 8.7 plus points, elite rebounding, interior scoring, one of the best front courts in the country, and one of the most complete teams in the country. So let's get a little bit in this game, into what this game is, how it's going to shake out, and then we'll go into each players and who's going to have to come up big and all that. But Arizona, right, 34-2, and the 16-2 in the Big 12, was the last remaining undefeated high major team this season, like I said, winning its first 23 games before suffering 2 consecutive losses to Texas Tech and Kansas in February. Like I said, and now they're on an 11-game win streak. 6 of them over ranked opponents. It's the second longest active winning streak in the country. Head coach Tommy Lloyd's multinational squad is ranked 2nd overall on KingPom, 4th in offensive efficiency, and 3rd in defense. Balance is the name of the game for the Wildcats. Unlike High Point's 3-happy approach from which Arkansas just played, Arizona plays a more old-school brand of basketball, focused on getting to the rim at will and grinding down opponents. The Wildcats rank 358th out of 365 Division I teams in 3-point volume, but they still hit a solid 36.4% of their long-range attempts. Their 42.5 points per game ranks 5th in the nation, and that's mostly thanks to their jumbo-sized front court. What I'm trying to say is, Arizona doesn't like to shoot threes. They don't want to shoot threes. They want to bully you. And for Arkansas, that's proven to be a problem this year. But as far as matchup goes, if you can make threes, which they've shown flashes of doing, I think back to the Alabama game, which was an insane game. But if you can make threes, then you can be a very scary opponent for Arizona. For the Wildcats, it starts with 5-star freshman Koa Pete. 6'8", is the Wildcats' second leading scorer, averaging 13.7 points per game and 5.4 rebounds. The Lithuanian big man, Matijas Krivas, 7'2", is the team's anchor on defense, averaging 10.4 points, 8 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks per game. German forward Karchenkov, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, 6'7", is putting up 10.2 points and 4.2 rebounds per game and is a capable floor spacer, hitting 33% of his attempts from behind the arc. Really, Arizona's best three-point shooter. Tenacious power forward Tobe Awaka, 6'8", averages 9.5 points and a team-high 9.5 rebounds off the bench. Arizona ranks 6th nationally with a 57.5% rebounding rate. Like I said earlier, kind of been something that Arkansas struggled with. 3 of Arkansas's losses this season came to team in the top 5 of that rebounding category I just listed: Florida, Michigan State, and Duke. But the Michigan State and the Duke game were very, very close, so it's very, very telling that Arkansas can do it. Things are going to have to go a little differently, though. The Wildcats play at a quick, controlled pace, ranking 55th in Ken Palm's adjusted tempo metric. That engine is driven by one of the few backcourt duos in the country that can sniff Arkansas's pairing of Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. Freshman Braden Burries leads the team in scoring with 16 points, 4.7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and 1.5 steals while shooting 50% from the field and 38% from 3. It's easy to see why he's projected lottery pick in the NBA draft. Big 12 Player of the Year Jaden Bradley, meanwhile, is putting up a 13.1 points, 4.5 assists, 3.6 rebounds, and 1.6 steals while hitting 41% of his attempts from behind the arc. So it's not like Arizona can't shoot from 3, although they do struggle at it a little bit. It's more that they don't. They don't want to. They don't need to. The steady guard play in tandem with the massive front court is a deadly combination that has ground opponents into mincemeat throughout the season. It's also a recipe that won't mash well with Arkansas's kryptonite this season. And thank you for Best of Arkansas Sports for a lot of that information. Enough of bragging about Arizona. Let's see what Arkansas could do to combat that. They're playing at a much better pace, a much better style of play, a much better team in general since those games against those big teams. But still, it's Arkansas's kind of kryptonite. So how are they going to combat it? It's no secret that Arkansas is one of the best backcourts in the country. I think everybody unanimously agrees that Darius Acuff is one of the best players in college basketball, if not the best player in college basketball. And Malik Thomas, the other guy in the backcourt, is not too far behind him. Not to mention DJ Wagner and Billy Richmond, 2 guys who have been turning it on recently. But dominant front courts are where Arkansas struggles. So who's going to have to come up big is the big man. Fortunately, big man Malik Ewin for Arkansas is peaking at the right time. Ewin has posted double-doubles in 3 of his last 4 games, including both NCAA tournament clashes, and scored in double figures in 7 of the last 10 contests. He was amazing down the stretch in the High Point game and was really the guy who sealed the deal for Arkansas with those 2 clutch free throws. The Florida State transfer is averaging 15 points and 12 rebounds in the Big Dance, showcasing his versatility with 6 assists against Hawaii and 4 blocks against High Point. He's averaging 1.5 blocks this season, and the Hogs will need him to continue his rim-protecting surge to combat the Cats. The other guy, and who has been labeled pretty much Arkansas's X-Factor, is Trevor Brazile. Now, when he's playing his best, he's one of the best players, if not the best front court players in the country. He's a really good stretch big. The senior is averaging a dominant 16.5 points per game, 8.6 rebounds, and 2 blocks over the last 7 games. He can block you from anywhere. He can grab a rebound from anywhere. And I've always said it, though. Mentally is his challenge. I don't mean that way. What I'm trying to say, though, is that mentally, sometimes he comes in the game, he checks in, and he's great, and he's balling out. And I looked at that Missouri game ending the season. He was fantastic. But sometimes he comes in, shot doesn't go in, he gets beat on a rebound, and he's out-physicaled. And a big point for Arkansas as well is foul trouble. Because when they get in foul trouble, especially with Trevor Brazile, they always lose. I think the stat out there, and I'm not positive on it, but when Arkansas's Trevor Brazile gets in foul trouble early in the first half, they have lost every single game. So it's pivotal that no one gets in foul trouble, but especially Trevor Brazile, and that's going to be hard because Arizona shoots the most free throws out of any team in college basketball, meaning the other teams tend to foul Arizona a lot just because of how physical they are. However, Brazil's defensive deterrence, lob catching, and floor spacing will be paramount to counter Arizona's bigs, as he'll likely be tasked with wrangling Pete and Awaka, 2 of the best players in the country, 2 of the best front court players in the country. Depth will also be crucial against Arizona for the Razorbacks, as any sort of foul trouble disrupting the Brazile-Ewin partnership would leave the Hogs vulnerable. And the final piece for Arkansas, Nick Pringle. Pringle has 33 starts under his belt this season, but missed the first weekend of the NCAA tournament while nursing a hamstring injury, mostly as a precaution. The South Carolina transfer will very likely be back this week for the Sweet 16, so that's huge news for Arkansas. Pringle's averaging 4.5 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, but not too flashy, but his physicality is really what gets him going on both sides. And it's what has kept him in the lineup for this long. He's Arkansas's biggest bruiser, per se, and he's their best natural front court big. And that's going to be huge against Arizona because they have some old school bigs, guys that are just going to bruise you and get the rebound and shoot it back up until they can make a layup or dunk it on you. And Pringle is kind of the only guy that Arkansas has that can combat that one-on-one, say mano-y-mano, be a guy that can match that physically. And doesn't mean that Brazil and Ewan won't do their thing and score points on him, play good defense on him, but they're going to have to use different methods than what Pringle can use because Pringle can actually physically match that up, but it's going to have to take a very, very good performance from him. But last but not least, let's talk about Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas for Arkansas. Now, I touched on the front court a little bit, but I think it's huge, right? Darius Acuff has been good this March Madness, and people will point at, well, he basically has 30 points per game. He does. He played good in the Hawaii game. He played good in the High Point game. He played really well down the stretch. He played elite down the stretch. But there is a moment in that High Point game from, I don't know, the 10-minute mark of the first half to maybe even the 10-minute mark of the second half where he wasn't himself. And that was against High Point. Now, High Point's not great. They're good. But a guy who came up big for Arkansas in that time was Malik Thomas. And he's been overlooked this year, and I think he's fine with it. He's still going to be a top 20 pick. But when you have a guy like Darius Acuff, it's hard not to talk about him. And it's easy to get caught up on him and not look at what Malik Thomas has done. Because at points in that High Point game, Arkansas was cooked. No one could make a shot. It felt like the upset was just looming over them. Coach Calipari, he's had his fair share of upsets. It felt like it was all but to happen again. It would be March Sadness for the Hogs. But Malik Thomas, what you need in those types of moments is a guy with unmatched confidence, because at that point, High Point had all the confidence. I mean, they knew they were going to win that game because they just haven't lost as much. And when you got a guy like Chase Johnston and Rob Martin, the way they were playing, it's really hard to combat that with confidence. But Arkansas did it. And it was mainly because of Malik Thomas, because he did not care. He took some dumb shots, yeah, but a lot of them went in. He was confident that he would make every single shot. And eventually, it took a little bit. That confidence oozed to the rest of the team, especially Darius Acuff. And Darius Acuff was able to deliver one of the best postseason finishes we've ever seen. X factors for each team, especially Arkansas. For Arkansas, 3-point shooting is huge. They shoot 38% on the year. But with the way Arizona plays and the way Arkansas's defense is set up, Arkansas's defense isn't great. And I think they've accepted that. I think they do things to fix it, to kind of throw you off. But it's not great. And like I said, Arizona doesn't shoot threes. They're not great at threes. They're not going to beat you on the threes, most likely. Knock on wood there for Arkansas. Arkansas has been spotty from three. Some games they go lights out and they really rely on the three, but sometimes it's just not falling and they drive and do all that. But that's not really going to be able to happen this game, in my opinion at least, because, look, you drive in, you got to walk out there. You got Koa Pete there. You're going to get blocked, most likely, or fouled, and you can take a foul, right, as long as you make it free throws. But Arkansas is going to have to shoot the three well for them to win this game, in my opinion. Like, I've looked at a lot of scenarios in my mind, and not one of them has been a scenario where Arkansas hasn't shot the three well if they're going to win this game. Turnovers, they cannot have turnovers also for Arkansas. When you're playing a good team like Arizona, a 1 seed, and Arkansas knows it better than anybody. I mean, they beat multiple 1 seeds in these past few years, Gonzaga, Kansas. You can't turn the ball over, and that's really the biggest stat. If you can force turnovers, but not turn it over, and it really hasn't been too big of an issue for Arkansas. They don't turn the ball over that much. But if you can force turnovers too, that would be huge, because Arkansas, like I said, is a transition team, probably the best transition team in college basketball. They like to run on you, and you're not going to beat them when they go on transition. Like, if they get a steal, it's an automatic point for Arkansas, and that's huge. For Arizona, I mean, perimeter shooting is their biggest weakness, right? And I don't think they're going to try too much of it, but if they can, I think it about wraps it up for Arkansas. If Arizona, for some reason, does shoot the three and does make the three, Transition defense is going to be huge for Arizona. Like I said, Arkansas wants to run it on you. If you can't guard that, you're going to be in trouble. But all that is great. Statistics, all that, and matchups. But let's look at a little bit of the storylines. I mean, this is kind of why we watch, right? It's just a little fun. NBA talent showcase. I mean, there's NBA talent all over the floor in this game, and really in this whole Sweet 16. So if you're an NBA fan, not a big college basketball fan, which what are you doing? College basketball is the best. It's way better than the NBA. But if you're one of those guys who's like more of an NBA fan, well, let me tell you, this Sweet 16 is for you. I mean, there's NBA talent oozing on the floor. In this game especially, we have Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. I already pointed about Billy Richmond and DJ Wagner, also guys that I could see being great in the league. Trevor Brazil too. And then Arizona, you got Burries and Pete, both future pros. I mean, you got probably 4 lottery picks in this game, most likely. I mean, I don't know about Malik Thomas. He's going to be close, and I don't know about Braden Burries. He's also going to be close. But Acuff and Pete, I feel like, are pretty much locked as for lottery picks, right? Arizona title expectations. Let's be honest, guys. The Tommy Lloyd era at Arizona has been absolutely elite, but there has been a certain sense of March. I don't want to say disappointment because they make the Sweet 16, but not quite living up to where they could be, considering that they are usually a 1 or 2 seed, right? I mean, they lost to Princeton. We all know that one. We all remember that one. But it does feel like there is a little bit of a March wall that Tommy Lloyd has to jump over. And could that happen today? Because I do feel like this is the best Arizona team he's had. So we shall see. At the end of the day, though, 8:45 tip, Arkansas, Arizona, both U of A is in San Diego. So I'm sure Arizona fans will dominate it a little bit. But don't be surprised because Arkansas, when you're in the Sweet 16, fans like to travel. They're a really good traveling fan base. I think this is going to be a fun matchup. I really, really do. And as a guy who kind of leans Arkansas on things, it's one of these matchups that I'm not too confident, right? I'm not too confident. But there's a lot of avenues for Arkansas if things go right, if the ball bounces the right way, if you can do things that just at a little bit of a higher level than you usually do. I think getting healthy is huge. I think Nick Pringle's huge. But I think at the end of the day, if you can keep this game close, the final 5 minutes, 3 5-point game, maybe even have a lead, I think you win this game because in those last 5 minutes, and we've seen it all through this year, it's Darius Acuff time. And ain't nobody stopping that guy with 5 minutes to go in a close game. Ain't nobody stopping that guy. Who you got winning this matchup? Drop your predictions in the comments. And if you want more March Madness breakdowns like this, more college basketball, college baseball, college football breakdowns, SEC breakdowns, hit that subscribe button. It would really, really, really help me out a ton because we are breaking down every big game, every small game, all the intangibles, all the storylines, everything. I'll see you in the next one.